It's the early hours of the morning on March 25th, 2024. I am on my way to the airport in preparation for a long trip to Virginia to visit some family and see a lot of cool railroad action in the Christiansburg and Roanoke areas. My flight this morning will take me from Franklin County Highgate in Swanton, Vermont. I will be making a fuel stop at November 27, which is Radford County in Towanda, Pennsylvania, and then ending the flight at the Blacksburg, Virginia Tech Airport in Blacksburg, Virginia. After checking the en route weather and NOTAMs, I headed to the hangar to do the pre-flight walk around and preheat the engine ahead of the flight. For this flight, I am going to be flying my dad's 1969 Cessna 172 Skyhawk. While it's not as fast as a commercial airliner, it's a lot more fun and the views are amazing. With the pre-flight walk-around complete, it was time to jump in and start up. Total 1,000 lights on is required. Avionics master on transponder 1200, which is cool. Clear prop! Okay, beacon's on. Almost cracked. After starting the engine, I let it warm up for a minute while I finished preparing the cockpit for the flight. I then taxied to the run-up area to complete my before takeoff checklist and engine run-up. With all the checklists complete, it was time to back taxi down runway 18 for takeoff. As I climbed out over Peru, New York, I saw my first train of this trip. It was the southbound CPKC 928, a general manifest heading down to Saratoga Springs, New York. While this train is run under CPKC call sign on the Canadian Pacific Canadian Main Line, it is actually a Norfolk Southern train, number 30T, which is why it has 3 NS engines in the lead. As I flew over Utica, New York, I saw the tail end of a very long autorack train. As I flew over Binghamton, New York, I found this Norfolk Southern train on the southern tier, switching out National Pipe and Plastics. Just a little over 2 hours after departing Swanton, Vermont, I was arriving at Radford County, where I would be making my fuel stop before continuing on down to Blacksburg, Virginia. As I flew over Lewiston, Pennsylvania, I had an interesting meet between an eastbound Norfolk Southern intermodal train and a Juliana Valley Railroad manifest. The Juliana Valley Railroad has only one engine, JVRR 2106, an EMD SW 900, that was built in 1953. Just a few minutes later, I found Amtrak 42, the eastbound Pennsylvanian to New York, crossing the Juliana River on a very interesting stone arch bridge. I can't remember what town this was, but it was a CSX, what appeared to be a grain train. Unfortunately, I forgot to hit record on my GoPro, so I do not have a video of the landing at Blacksburg Airport. But after landing, I was able to quickly find my tie-down spot, thanks to the helpful staff at the airport. After tying the airplane down, I met up with Susan, who gave me a ride into Christiansburg, where I would meet up with John and begin my tour of the railroad activity. When I arrived, John explained that Norfolk Southern was doing a very large multi-day project to change out a track switch, also known as a turnout. The first train I saw in Christiansburg was the FRA inspection train. Unfortunately, I was not ready with my camera to get a video of it, so I'll say this was the first train, a Norfolk Southern coal train descending the grade through Christiansburg, running on a slow order due to the track work that is still taking place.
piece of equipment this morning, this afternoon. Regular.
After having dinner, but before going to bed, I wanted to take a walk and do some exploring. I walked around some of the various local roads, and then found my way down to the tracks just in time to see this NS coal train passing through. Not too long after, and another westbound freight was heading through. This one, a manifest, being led by a BNSF C-44-9W. Main 1 is on the left, main 2 is on the right. This is looking west. The final train of the night would be another westbound, this time a Norfolk Southern intermodal. So welcome back to the house now. Had a fun little night there in downtown Christiansburg. Caught 3 trains tonight. One this afternoon, and some maintenance flight action as they replaced the turnout. And had a good flight here, so tomorrow's going to be Roanoke. It's a little before 9 a.m. on day 2 of my Virginia trip. We're on our way over to the Roanoke area to visit the Roanoke chapter of the National Rail Historical Society, plus go to the Virginia Museum of Transportation, and see a few other interesting things in the Roanoke area.
You know where to look going back in there, you never know. I mean,
he builds track industrial. Okay. That's him days and we traded him that to put in the swings and track.
So I'm here at the Roanoke chapter of the National Historical Railroad Society, checking out some of these cool old pieces of equipment, like this engine. I was given permission to climb up on and take a look at, so it's quite interesting stuff. I'm going to go check out VMT as well, and maybe 611, see what they got there. And not sure what else, but we're going to stay in the Roanoke area today, day 2 of my Virginia trip. Well, technically day 1 full day. Yesterday was just travel day to get here. So.
and then this was the line of demarcation. This is like the Mason-Dixon line right here. Step right through the Mason-Dixon line. This is where the black people rode.
Yep.
Notice they had no restroom facilities here.
Yep.
The whites did.
Oh no, they haven't.
We didn't like one small one, not like
They had one small one.
Not like they had a straight shot right to the tracks, right?
Right.
This is an example of one of Norfolk and Western Railway's segregated cars, also known as a Jim Crow car. This car, number 512, served on the Norfolk and Western's Powhatan Arrow. It is a Class P2 coach and had 66 seats total, 24 of those being in the colored section and 42 in the white section. This car is currently being restored at the Roanoke chapter of the NRHS. While the seats have been removed, you can still see the partition that would have divided the 2 sections of the car. After lunch, we made a quick stop at the Virginia Railway Roanoke Station. This station burned down in 2001 and was very meticulously restored to its former appearance. This is an old Norfolk and Western 100-ton steam crane. I can only guess to the date this was built, but it looks very similar to the one the Nevada Northern Railway has that was built in 1909. So I'm going to say it was built in the early 1900s, probably around the same year.
It probably been fairly about 175 fresh on it.
There's the rail grab right down here where you go.
See all the controls in there?
What's that plate say, John? On this end.
The last time it was tested was 10/30 of 1964, so it's an old steam rail crane built by Industrial Works in Michigan, Bay City, Michigan. one of the old lights up though still. No bulb in it. And 2 hooks.
What's up in there? See the firebox door open? The bottom of that? What the hell did that? Where did they kill it? It wasn't the oil one. It was definitely coal one.
VMT did let the last Virginian derrick hit scrap. They traded it in on, they were so strapped for money, they scrapped it so they could basically keep the price up.
What's this deal about Virginia VMT getting state recognition or state police? Is that all bullshit? Is that what's going to happen?
It's gonna happen.
That's what happened down in Spencer. They finally got state police.
Yeah.
And look what they've got.
The 3 amigos that run the organization, they want to use everybody else's money, but they want to keep control.
So this is the boiler here
When it goes to
in the firebox. I believe that's a water tank or coal. Got all the controls here to run it.
I think these are water. I don't know where they got the coal for this. I think it's on the other side of water pump.
Yeah, those are water. That's water.
Where the hell did they get the coal fire from?
While driving through Roanoke on our way to the Virginia Museum of Transportation, I happened to look out my window and see a train fast approaching. This train would be Norfolk Southern 18M, a manifest train, and I got the extra bonus of having the Interstate Heritage Unit in the lead.
But they got a truck parked in there.
So this is basically the same engine we saw this morning, but this one is painted in a little better condition. After a fun time at the Virginia Museum of Transportation, and while on our way back to Christiansburg, we were crossing the tracks and we saw this coal train coming into view, so we pulled over and stopped to watch it go by.
We have to fly.
Why?
The driver?
Yeah.
40-foot
I
tall.
think she is.
Oh, look at the thing at the park.
After playing with the dog and having a great dinner, I took another late night walk to go watch some trains. This train was pretty cool. It had a Kansas City Southern engine trailing. It's my second full day in Virginia, and after breakfast I have taken a walk back down to the station to watch some more trains. We're back in the car and on the way to Roanoke for day 2 of some interesting finds. We pulled off to the side of the road, or well, the best we could, to take a look at a piece of interesting Southern history. This is the tomb of the unknown Confederate soldier.
There's a bear shit in here. A bear shit.
Our first stop in Roanoke would be the O. Winston Link and Roanoke History Museum.
We'll go down here for the roots.
After visiting the museum, we headed outside just in time to catch Amtrak 151, the Roanoke-bound Northeast Regional, pulling into the Roanoke station. A little while after the arrival of the Northeast Regional, this Norfolk Southern Manifest passed by. As Amtrak was waiting for the Norfolk Southern Manifest to pass by, we headed up the tracks a little bit to catch Amtrak again as they pulled into the Roanoke servicing facility. There's his tail.
There's the tail of him, because that's the wire. side, but I didn't think I'd get there in time to see the train, so you want me to run down here and catch him pulling in here? I can pull over here and you can do the shot again.
interesting. I guess some people do not know what the word stop means. Anyway, we're heading up the road now to the top of Mill Mountain to take a look at the Mill Mountain Star and the view from the observation deck.
The airport over there, straight ahead. Potash. There's a coal.
We're back on the road again, and we've stopped by the Goudou Metals Recycling Center, where we find 2 engines owned by the Roanoke chapter of the NRHS. I am only guessing here, but I believe these 2 engines are being used in switching service at the center.
To 6SIX inside East End tying down. Just looking out for the rear of that 288. They're pulling into 4 now. They should be clear of the freight runner, but just looking out for them.
We're back on the road again with hopes to see a train after hearing a lot of talking on the scanner. Well, unfortunately no trains came, so we're heading back to Christiansburg now for some dinner.
When the cameras were opening up for the next tour.
As dinner was being prepared, I was sitting in the living room playing with the dog when I heard a train coming through Christiansburg. The scanner crackled to life, and while I could not be sure, I thought I heard the engineer call out NS-126. I jumped in the car and started heading towards the tracks, but almost immediately got stuck in a long line of traffic waiting for this train to pass. But as luck would have it, this was Norfolk Southern Train 126. As I sat in traffic watching all the cars go by, I anxiously waited to see what was at the end of this train. I was very happy to see that NS-8102, the Pennsylvania Railroad Heritage Unit, was still the DPU. It's day number 3, and while out on my morning walk, I came across the North Franklin Street Bridge. As I was walking over the bridge, I saw a signal lit for an approaching train, so I set up the camera and waited. It wasn't too long before I heard the sound of an approaching train. It was a Norfolk Southern intermodal, and it was a very long one. It took about 9 minutes for the entire train to pass. As I was walking back to the house, I got to the crossing just in time to see this Norfolk Southern intermodal train. It had an ex-BNSF, ex-Kansas City Southern engine trailing third. We're on the road again, this time headed to Whitethorn to check out some of the track work that is happening and also take a look at the historic color position light CPL signals that are still in place on the main line. Here in Whitethorn, that's green signal and CPL signals here. Gonna see a train. Gonna get the drone up. We've made a stop at Radford to get some lunch and check out the rail yard. We grabbed some lunch at Sharky's. I gotta say, the chicken Caesar was very good. As we were heading east out of Radford, we saw this NS intermodal train, so we turned around and took chase.
We'll come back to the yard. Get your camera ready. Don't guarantee anything. He may stop here too, so.
Yeah.
But I doubt it. I would think he'll run straight through.
Well, if they have Amazon Prime containers, they're gonna be.
It's just a matter of. I just want to see if he slows down and stops here.
Yeah.
We can always come back here and get to the yard.
After finally getting ahead of the train, we set up at the historic Dublin Depot in Dublin, Virginia. We're back in Radford now, and I just wanted to stop and get a quick shot of this NS train. It kind of reminded me of a Norfolk and Western or a Southern Railway freight.
Empty coal. Following that other one.
I am at a place I have been wanting to see for a very long time. This is the former Norfolk and Western Vickers Coaling Tower.
Wonder if they're going to Whitethorn with that.
What is it?
Tamper? What do we got here? Well, they work on this track all the time. I mean, no idea what that is. Don't know what the brains on that by the time we get to Christiansburg because it's activity. Get off that track.
After another great dinner, I took a quick walk down to the tracks before bed. I would only catch one train this night, an empty NS coal train. The first train we would see is this Norfolk Southern intermodal. My guess is this is a very high priority train, judging by how many Amazon containers were on it. The second train we would see is this Norfolk Southern Manifest, charging upgrade towards Christiansburg. For those of you who like watching trains come under this iconic tower, probably should do so relatively soon. Due to some extensive wearing that is happening to the concrete, the structural integrity has been greatly diminished, and Norfolk Southern has determined this tower needs to be demolished. While crossing the tracks on our way back to the house, we saw the signal lit for an approaching train. This would be a massive NS coal train. we're off on a bike ride. We're going to be taking the Huckleberry Trail to Blacksburg.
So this line.
The Huckleberry Trail is a multi-purpose rail trail that runs from Christiansburg to Blacksburg, Virginia. The Huckleberry Trail uses the alignment of the former Virginia Anthracite Coal and Railway Company. At the start of the trail in Christiansburg, the line is still active and used by Norfolk Southern to serve the Corning plant.
Walk out of the bridge and I'll tell you a little bit about the bridge.
Along the way, we stopped at the Coal Mining Heritage Park. This park is sort of an open-air museum of the former coal mine that was once there.
Community down here in Maryland, town. At the station down there on the Virginian.
Yep.
You get in now? Set where it's tried the tip is set where it's tried the street right here. You do a foundation for it. I don't know if we can get around and get on that side. We might go around till we get over on that side. I've never been up in there. I've never been up in there, so I think there's a way to do that down there. Gotta be.
Yep.
Oh. The real mining was deep underneath. That's why just forked and pulled stuff along the
This is the entrance to the coal mine that used to be here. It's all filled in now.
You feeling the air coming out?
Not much.
Cold air coming out there.
This was all filled in, I guess, concrete, so no one would go in the mine. That's where we just were, right over there. And this is probably a vent of some sort. After a very nice bike ride, I wanted to catch a few more trains, as this would be my last evening in Christiansburg. The first train of the night was an N&W. final train I would see is this Norfolk Southern coal train. Okay, well this'll be the last train of the night. I'd have a hard time living here. I would never get any sleep. I'd just be up watching trains all night. It's the early morning hours of March 30th, and we're on our way to the Blacksburg airport so I can get ready and fly back home to Vermont. Unfortunately, unlike my trip south, for this northbound trip I'm going to be fighting some strong headwinds all the way back. This'll just mean a longer flight time.
Good dreams.
After saying goodbye and loading up the airplane, it was time to start up and head back home.
Temperature 5 Celsius, 2.0, altimeter 3005.
Due to the strong headwinds I mentioned earlier, the airplane was basically crabbed into the wind for the entire flight back. After having an amazing in-flight meal of some homemade buttermilk pie, I made my approach and landing at Radford County Airport to get fuel before heading on to Vermont. heading back over Utica, and I find this small Norfolk Southern intermodal. After a long flight, it was very nice to see the backside of the Adirondack Mountains. As I made my pattern entry from the 45 to the downwind leg, I was getting beat up by some pretty strong winds and turbulence. I extended my downwind leg to give myself a little more time on final approach to set up for landing. Well, I'll admit, that was not my best landing, but due to the winds, I'll take it as a win. Well, I had an amazing trip. I got to see some really cool trains, visit some really unique places, but best of all, hang out with some awesome people. I learned a lot on this trip too. This was the longest cross-country flight I've done since getting my private pilot license. I can't wait to make more fun trips like this in the future. And thank you all for watching.